Minato Namikaze, one of the most beloved characters in Naruto, and like a lot of people, he is also one of my favorite characters in the series. He was the fourth Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village and renowned all over the ninja world as Konoha's Yellow Flash. He died protecting the village and his son Naruto during the Ninth Hill attack. Minato was known for his exceptional speed, the mastery of his Rasengan technique, and his unique ability to use the flying Raijin technique, which allows him to teleport instantly to a marked location. Watching Naruto during my teenage years, I always found the flying Raijin technique as one of the most coolest techniques in the whole Naruto universe. The possibilities seem endless to what can be done. I secretly wanted to find games that implemented this technique that made you feel like Minato. There were many games that uses the teleportation technique, like Portal, LeBlanc from League of Legends, but none of them actually made you feel like Minato. So I wanted to do something about this. I downloaded Godot and got to work in creating a simple mechanic that made you feel like Minato.
Feel like Spider-Man. Wanted Marvel's Spider-Man on PS4 to make me feel like Spider-Man, coupled with gameplay that made me feel like Spider-Man nearly every step of the way. Spider-Man's...
So the first thing I did when I opened Godot is I created a simple world scene. So I'm going to keep everything in the same scene because this is a proof of concept and I don't want to make it too complicated just yet. I probably also, so if I run this first, let me see what we have. Okay. So yeah, I will need a camera just to make sure that everything is in view. So if I go on camera 2D, let's see what we want to include. So we probably want to include all of this, and I'll also bring our character 2D to the middle of the screen, right about here. Let's run it now. Great, so we can see the platform and the character in the middle of the screen. So let's add some physics and gravity to this.
A few moments later.
Yeah, we have some gravity. We can move left and right, and we can jump by pressing space. Okay. I think we've got the basic template. I've set up a test for us to actually try out the teleport technique. So I have a sprite 2D in the corner of the screen, and I've set up a keybind, so whenever a user presses Q, I can teleport them to where the sprite 2D is located. So in the script, I have an if statement that checks to see if you have pressed Q, and if you have, just set my character body 2D's position to whatever the sprite 2D position is. I've set the velocity to 0, otherwise if you kept pressing Q, the gravity force increases because it only resets whenever you touch the floor. So if you keep pressing Q without touching the floor, the fall speed just increases to infinity. So I'll just run the game just to see what we have here. So we can move left and right, jump and press Q, and we spawn at the sprite 2D location. So we have the basic concept. All we have to do now is build some wall around maybe a platform and the ability to throw a kunai, and that gets stuck to the wall and we can teleport there using this same logic that we have already. So I've done quite a bit of work now, at least for me, since I've never done game development before. But before I explain what I've done, I'll just quickly show you what the game looks like now. So you can still move and jump as usual, and now with the left mouse click you can throw a kunai, and the kunai actually sticks to any surface of the platform, and you can press Q to teleport instantly to that location. So you can see a travel, bam, and you can say travel, and we can also make a stick to any platform. And it's working quite well. You can also teleport while it's in midair. Yeah, initially I had it so that it has to stick to something before you can teleport, but I quite like the fact that you can teleport while it's in midair, because Minato can do that, right? So yeah, I quite like this mechanics that we have, and I can think of many platform design that we can implement in future to make use of this technique. Right now, you're limited to one kunai at a time, and you have to pick up the one that you already sent out before you can launch another one. So I can't throw another kunai until I actually teleport there and pick it up. So that's the basic gist of the gameplay we have so far. So let's go over how I actually build this. It's actually quite simple, especially if you've been doing any game development recently. The main components are you got your camera 2D, which is pretty much covering the whole platform. We have our platform, which is this thing right here, which is it's a static body 2D with a sprite and a collision shape, and also the left, right, and the bottom floors are the exact same setup. It's a collision shape 2D with a it's a static body 2D with a collision shape and a sprite. Nothing too complicated here. Our character body 2D changed a little bit. We still have our sprite and our collision shape that that we can use to actually walk on the surface and hit against walls and platforms. We also have a 2D node with a marker 2D. This is used to actually rotate our launch position of the kunai. So if I rotate this around, you can see the marker 2D actually rotating around the player. So this tracks where my mouse is, and when I left click, it will actually spawn the kunai from where the marker 2D is located at, and it'll fly off in that direction. It's all done through code. It's pretty simple. I'll show you when we get to the script section. We also have a detect bullet area 2D. The only purpose of this is to check if it's hitting a kunai, and if it does, it will do something. So it will remove it from the game space, and it will increase my ammo by 1. That's it. Now comes the main part of the whole game, the kunai. Funnily enough, it was actually really easy to implement. All we have is just a node 2D with a sprite and an area 2D, which shapes out the kunai shape, and a spawn point where the player will spawn from once you press Q, and a timer just to deactivate the kunai, so you can't teleport to it as soon as you throw the knife. We just have on timer. We just enable these collision shape whenever 0.1 second has elapsed. I think that's what it is. Yeah, 0.1 second. And once we hit something that is not a bullet, so a platform or floor or a wall, we just set the velocity to 0 and the speed to 0, so it actually gets stuck to the wall and doesn't actually fly past or anything like that. And here we just have a simple move and collide function, and we apply a speed to a velocity to it. Very simple implementation. Here we actually preload the bullet scene, and whenever we press Q, we call the shoot function that checks how much ammos we have, and if we have less than 0 or equal to 0, we actually instantiate the bullet scene. We add it to our world node, so we add it as a child. We give it a position of where to spawn from, which is our marker 2D, and we tell it to fly in the direction of where the mouse is positioned at. So that's what this is doing. Look at where the mouse position is and actually fly off in that direction. We increment the count by 1, so we have only 1 bullet, so now we increment it by 1, count becomes 1, and it can't shoot anymore no matter how many times you press Q. We have a physics process here that looks for whether we press Q, and if we have we actually teleport to our kunai location, and this is a local variable that gets updated every physics process within this function update queue. Update queue checks to see if we have a scene called bullet, and if we do, check where the spawn point is, get the spawn point, which is the marker 2D within our bullet scene. We try to get that marker 2D into a variable. If it doesn't exist, it's null, so it doesn't do anything. But if it does exist, we try to get the x and y value of the marker 2D, and we save it into a local variable called q kunai x and y, right? So this is updated constantly as the kunai is traveling through our game world, because it's been called on the physics process. We still have a lot to do, obviously, but we have the core mechanics now. We can throw the kunai and we can teleport to that kunai, and we have a way where this kunai just sticks to the wall. So coming up, going forward, I'll have to add animation, some hand-drawn or at least a sprite from that I can buy or just pick up for free. Make it look a bit nicer, obviously. In terms of game mechanics, I think I'm gonna stick to this for now and cover the other fundamentals like the menu system, VFX, any effects that we have. Just make sure it's a fully finished game, and if you want to add more mechanics, we add it on top of the foundation. So thanks for watching.